This is Padma from padmaali.com. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 reasons why you need to heal your inner child in order to grow your business. And here's the catch. Do not leave your inner child work to any coach or any therapist. You need to find someone who's specialized in helping you with this, because the reason you even have the healing to happen is because something got wounded, a trauma happened in a childhood that has kept you trapped in where you are today. This is what I call as energetic imprints. Energetic imprints happen when something traumatic happens. Even if you as an adult may not classify that as trauma, it is trauma because something felt out of your control. The definition of trauma is that anything that is out of your control is classified as trauma. And as children, we do not have the cognitive ability to discern when something is happening that it has got nothing to do with us. Maybe a parent is stressed out and they take out their frustration on you, or get short with you, or yank you, or do something that causes the trauma. And then what happens is that because you don't have the cognitive ability to understand what's happening, you create stories. You create stories about the situation. And what is the best story to create? The best story to create is like, something is wrong with me. And then that becomes a belief, which then gets stored in the back of your brain. You may have forgotten that incident, but that belief remains. And then that belief becomes a part of your process of how you operate in the world. Then you become an adult, and then you go to work or you go to college, and then a professor says something to you, and then it triggers a memory from that. You may not even again recall the memory, but what happens is that your brain goes, something is wrong with me. If that is the predominant belief you're holding, your body is going to have that memory. And so maybe the tone of the professor, maybe the tone of your boss is similar to the tone of your parents. So then your body goes into almost this, it recalls that memory bodily, and then it recoils almost to bring you back to that state. Now, again, all of this is unconscious. This is not consciously done. And how do I know all these things? Because I did this work for 23 plus years with my clients. Inner child work is a big part of how I did my therapy practice. So now I bring that to the business world, because unless you heal your inner child, it is going to keep impacting your business today. And I'll explain to you why. Let me finish explaining what happens with that. So when you have that bodily memory, you recoil, and then you're reacting to that situation, not as the adult you, but as the 2-year-old or the 5-year-old or the 7-year-old. Now imagine having a 5-year-old run a house or run your business or run your work or go to college. You can't, right? A 5-year-old is not going to have the capacity to do that. So here's why the inner child work healing needs to happen. Now, why you need to find someone who's really qualified to do this work is because a trauma happened in the past. Now, if someone is not qualified to work with that trauma, you're going to re-traumatize that part of you that was stuck in the past. This is really key. If you do not find someone who is really well qualified, you will re-traumatize, which means you're kind of recreating the same scenario that happened back then. You do not want that. So you want someone who's really, really well qualified to work with trauma. So, and doing this kind of inner child healing. So the reason you need, again, let's go. So how is that connected with business? Like I said, when something traumatic happens, it leaves an imprint, and then that imprint starts to play a role in your life today. So for instance, I was working with a very, very successful CEO. And one of the things that would happen in his career, like in how he was very successful, but the way he had gotten success was kind of pushing, because that was one of the things he learned. He didn't have any control as a child. And so he learned that unless he pushes forward unless he pushes to make deals happen or get the contract signed. Like that is the energy he was coming at it. Now, we all know when we try to push and force things to happen, it is energetically taxing, and it's also energetically draining. So that's what would start to happen. He would get exhausted, and then he didn't have enough energy and time with his family. And then that led to a downward spiral. So when he came to start to work with me, he was like, I'm so burnt out. I love what I do, but I can't sustain this because every other part of my life is falling apart. So this is one of the reasons why you need to do this inner child work, because what's happening here is getting stuck in the emotional trap. So he would push, energetically get drained, and then get stuck in the sense of like, I can't do anything, and then push again, like this push, which was very exhausting. And then that led to more thoughts of like, I am a failure, I'm not good enough at what I do, and therefore leading to an emotional trap. So this is one of the main reasons you need to do this work. Now, the second reason why you need to do this work is because the trauma. So let me go back to the client. So when he did this work, what happened is like he learned to let go. He learned that he could also create change without having to push for it. If he started to take aligned actions, if he really took a step back and did not operate from fear, then that was opening up more doors for him. The second reason why you need to do this work is trauma. So when the energetic imprint happens, it means a trauma has happened. So if you do not address that trauma, it is going to continue to play a role in your life in the form of fear. It's going to play a role in your life of like how you take actions. It's going to play a role in your life of how you do something. So making sure that you address the trauma that was happened. And the best way to do the trauma work is to do inner child work. When you do the inner child work, what's happening is that you're freeing up the energy from that part of you that was stuck in the past. So that allows you room to expand and grow, not only as a business person, but also it frees up inner energy, inner energetic space to be in that state of freedom and the state of peace. Now this, and the way oftentimes the trauma from the past plays a role, say you grew up with very less means, okay, so security was not there. So the way you learned to feel secure as an adult is to have money. Money was your form of security. So with that security, like if money is the form of security, if you do not address that trauma from back then, it is going to continue to play a role in your life today in how you go after money. Maybe you get a job that you're not passionate about. Maybe you're actually passionate about starting your own business, but the sense of wanting security holds you back, right? But this security is not coming from the adult you, it's coming from the past. And this is why when you do the inner child work, it frees up that space to actually do the work that you came here to do, thereby living your life purpose. Now, the third reason why you need to do the inner child work, not you need to do anything, like you don't need to do anything. This is something that would benefit you when you do this inner child work is fear. The reason we need to do this because when we are in fear, everything you want is on the other side of fear. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. You've heard this over and over again. And again, it's such an unconscious thing, but because whatever parts of us are stuck in the past with the inner child work, with the inner child not being healed, results in fear. Fear of the future. Fear is always based on the future, based on the past. Okay, fear is always about the future based on the past. So when you do not address that past of whatever held your fear, you're going to keep repeating it. Yes, you can work with fear in the present, but you also need to free it up from the past. And the way I often see inner child work is like a tree, right? If you cut the branches are going to continue growing. So inner child work is like doing work with the roots. So when you take the roots off, I love trees, so this is a really hard analogy for me, but this is going to help you see it. When you cut out the roots, then the branches stop growing. And that is what happens with inner child work. You still have to do work in the light, in your current day circumstance, which is like, you have to put yourself out there and do the business stuff that you're here to do. However, the roots of whatever held you back from going after what you want is now gone. So with that, what happens is that then it allows you the room and space to experiment and be without adding meaning to it, saying, okay, this didn't work. That must mean I'm a failure. This didn't work because this didn't work. Therefore, I'm not meant to do a business. Like, these are the conclusions a lot of people come to. So by doing this inner child work, you're allowing space to experiment and do the things that you need to do in business. In business, it is not a linear straight line. It is like meandering, like you do this and you try that and see, okay, this worked, this didn't work. How can I do this differently? What can I do here? And then you take this, but when you have things that are keeping you trapped, right? Then every time you take a turn, your brain is going to go into interpretations of it, saying you're a failure, you're not good enough, you're this, you're that. So, and those things prevent you from creating whatever life that you desire, that you are seeking. So the main reasons why you need to do the inner child work, which will then allow you to grow the business, is because of an emotional entrapment. You get emotionally trapped. By doing the inner child work, it's going to free up your emotions to a place of peace and well-being, which then allows you to do the work you're here to do. The second thing is it frees up trauma. The trauma happens because some need wasn't being met. By doing the inner child work, you're going to allow yourself to meet those needs. Therefore, you can be more efficient in the present time. The third reason you need to do the inner child work is because it is going to help you let go of fear. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Now, here is the amazing side effects of doing inner child work. Don't take my word for it, okay? But it is going to improve your relationships. It's going to improve your relationship with money. It's going to improve your relationship with yourself. It's going to improve your relationship with others. It's really going to allow you to have a flourishing life. Don't take my word for it. Do this work and see the results for yourself. Now, the last thing, again, I want to reiterate, find someone who's really well qualified, because if you don't do that, you're going to recreate the trauma, and you do not want to recreate the trauma. Okay, so that concludes this video. Subscribe, follow, share this with your friends and family, especially with people who are entrepreneurs, because it's going to help them tremendously to help clear some of these things that have held them from going forward in their business and in their career. Thank you for being here. Once again, this is Padma from padmaali.com, and I will see you on another video.